Welcome back, my oil-loving friend. This is part 2 of a 3-part series on essential oils and aroma point for children, specifically in relationship to getting to sleep, sleeplessness, insomnia, and even night terrors, which I'm going to touch on right now. So I hope that you got to watch part 1. If you haven't already, loop around to that, because in that one I talk about one of the main reasons that can lead to sleeplessness or trouble falling asleep for children, which has to do with the digestion, either actual digestion or digestion of emotional material. And it's super fascinating, that one, because it also has to do with emotional material within the family unit, not just within the child. So now in part 2, we're going to look at specifically at what we could maybe call a restless heart, a restless heart. Yeah, I think that's the easiest way to describe it. And you might, I guess I'm finding myself even thinking in this moment, like, well, the children really get restless hearts? Yes, they do, actually. And the heart that I'm talking about is, I like the Chinese word for heart, which is shen. That's the spirit of the heart itself. Every one of the organs has a spirit in Chinese medicine, which is really beautiful. And Shen, which is the spirit of the heart, Shen is also our consciousness. It's our awareness. So we say the light that comes out of the eyes is the light of Shen. When I'm working with somebody, I'm noticing what's the quality of their Shen, what's the quality of the light that's coming out of their eyes, because that's important in soul and physical diagnostics. Children have Shen, just like adults have Shen. They have a spirit of the heart. They have consciousness and awareness that is unique to them. And they also have, they're also connected to a broader consciousness, a bigger consciousness than them as an individual. And the Shen can become restless for many reasons within the child. I think depending on the age and depending on the situation, it could be that their Shen is getting stirred up because of a disturbance in the household. You know, there's all kinds of things that happen in most households over the course of a family's evolution. Moving, lack problems, lack of money or lack of food or lack of any kind of resource. Tension between the parental figures or guardians, or tension between the parental figures and guardians and siblings. What are some of the other good ones? You think of some right now too. Tensions in the child in relationship to the parental figures or other parental type figures in their life. So this could be teachers or other mentor type people in the child's life. And the tensions that emerge could be varied. They could come for different reasons. I think probably the most common one that I witness in children is tension that builds because they're not ultimately allowed to be who they are. I've never met a parent who consciously intends to limit who their child is. At least, you know, perhaps I have, but not in my clinical years that I can think of. I think in general, at least most parents that I've been exposed to, they're well-meaning and they want to love their children the best that they can. And we're human and we all have our stuff. And certainly when, for any particular personality, if a child's behaving certain ways, it might be easier for that parental personality than if the child's behaving other ways. That's just normal. So if a parental figure is much more kind and rewarding, if a child behaves one way and is withholding of love, attention, or affection when a child behaves another way, it can create a tension. By the way, this isn't a moral statement. It's not a black and white statement. It's not a right or wrong statement. It's an energetic description, okay, of phenomena. So in that scenario that I just painted, if the child the child can then experience this tension within themselves that they might have a natural impulse to behave a certain way, but then it gets shut down very quickly because they know by practice that if they behave in that way, there'll be a withdrawal or a withholding of love or attention or affection from the parental figure. And so then they learn, this happens to all of us, this is part of conditioning, is that we learn to bring certain facets of our personality or persona forward and hide other facets of it in order to get what we want and what we need. This creates a kind of tension, and depending on the constitution of the child, their genetic heritage, their genetic makeup, their physiology, it could lead to a kind of stirring in the heart that creates sleeplessness or trouble falling asleep. So in this case, I recommend rose. Rose essential oil, 10% strength. And you can take the rose and take a drop, divide it between two fingers, one finger here and one finger right on the center of the sternum. This is called CV17 or primordial child. It's a beautiful, beautiful point that helps the child's energy return to pure essence, pure innocence. And when we're in pure essence, we're not in conflict anymore. There's not a push-pull. Here, the rose here is calming to the mind and any kind of mental or mental/emotional conflict that might be there, known or unknown to the child, in relationship to their unique expression of Shen, of heart spirit in the world. And you want to hold it for about, like I just did, anywhere from 30 seconds up to a couple of minutes. And you can do it just as they're in bed and you're tucking them in. The beautiful thing about aroma point with children, especially when you're doing it as a parent or guardian, is that you're also getting treated too, because the fragrance is in the air. So you're smelling the rose as they are receiving this aroma point directly on these powerful acupuncture points. I actually feel like I'm getting a treatment right now talking about it. It's because I've done it so many years that just the speaking and thinking about certain oils brings their energy in. So if you've witnessed and watched the way my face has changed, my voice has changed, this is part of the power of rose, that it ensconces everything in this sort of bliss bubble. And my nickname for Rose is the One, Compassionate Grace. The One, two different nicknames, the One, Compassionate Grace. So it brings our energy body, emotional body, and mental body into unified coherence and into a simple unified coherence. It's like all the noise, all the stuff, all the static, all that, it just falls away. And you're ensconced in this vibration of the One, the utmost source. It also has a strong transmission of the energy of Mother Mary, of Kuan Yin, which for many people it's experienced as like completely radical, compassionate acceptance, compassionate grace. So it's the other thing that's healing when you're doing it with the child. You know, if there are dynamics where, if you're a parent and you know, there's some tension that's been building up between you and the child because of behavior, say, and the parent's level of energy and resilience at the moment, then rather than trying to sort and sift through it psychologically or feel guilty as a parent, just go straight to the child and do this. And by the way, depending on the age of your child, this is the most beautiful thing, is to have the child do it to you too. That can be so profoundly healing and powerful and so sweet. You can do it on each other. You do them, they do you, or same time. Probably one at a time is a little easier. Okay, Rose, Compassionate Grace, the One, on the third eye and over the heart, Primordial Child, for helping with challenges falling asleep or staying asleep that might be related to some kind of an internal conflict, self to self, that is connected to a particular unique expression of Shen, heart spirit in the world. I hope you enjoyed From my heart to yours, and I'll see you in the next one. There's a part 3.